Jack Malik is a struggling singer-songwriter ready to give up when a freak accident during a global blackout changes everything. Suddenly, he's the only person on Earth who seems to know who the Beatles are. Armed with their legendary catalogue now, Jack begins to pass off their songs as his own, which skyrockets him to stardom. But fame comes with a cost. As he wrestles with guilt, the pressure of global stardom, and the growing realization that the life he's built might not be the one he truly wants. The film is directed by Danny Boyle and written by Richard Curtis. It's a high-concept, feel-good film that plays with big ideas like the value of art versus the artist and the trappings of fame. But at its heart, it's a love story, with Jack's longtime friend Ellie, played by Lily James, representing everything he's at risk of losing. It's charming, warm, and packed with great music and Danny Boyle's wonderful filmmaking talent.
Yesterday.
All
our troubles
seem so far away.
Now it's... No. This is another great pick.
Yeah, I like it too. Yesterday, I was... It popped into my head straight away as I was walking out of the cinema.
Okay, so talk to me about why A Complete Unknown reminds me of Yesterday, because it wasn't immediately obvious to me.
Yeah. So aside from the fact that it's a film about music and about music from that era, that's kind of very surface level. What struck me is that it's a film about the pursuit of fame taking the artist, further and further away from what actually matters the most to them. And so is A Complete Unknown. So as Bob Dylan is becoming more and more famous, he's grappling more and more with the issues that come with fame and actually just wanting to make music with all these people just leaving him alone so he can get on with what he wants to do. In Yesterday, Jack Malik, the character who's, never been able to make it himself. He's got one song that he's sort of semi-known for by his mates, but nobody cares. Wakes up in this world where suddenly nobody knows the Beatles exists, and it dawns on him that he can use their music to get the fame that he's always wanted. But any song that he's come up with is just no good. So he starts to wonder, what kind of artist is he actually? And the more famous he becomes, the worse that situation becomes. So it's interesting. I think there's a lot of parallels in the type of story that's created, but they're done in very different ways.
And with very different main characters.
Yes.
So similar arcs, kind of. So how do I pronounce him? Is it Himesh Patel? I
think that's correct.
Okay.
Himesh, or it could just be Himesh.
Yeah.
We are well known for mangling names.
We are. I think I've mentioned before, and I stand by that he reminds me, he's like a subcontinental Tom Cruise.
That's so bizarre for me.
I just see it in his eyes. He was in Station 11. Was it Station 11, that show?
Yeah, I don't remember him in Station 11 though.
I think he was, and okay. Yeah. Anyway, he reminds me of Tom Cruise. I can't shake it. I apologise. But firstly, his performance I thought was just astounding. I loved him.
Yeah, he's fun.
And
he's great.
Yeah, in many ways, completely the opposite of the Bob Dylan character, because he's, from the very start, he's kind of like just an everyman, like just very understated, and like a bit of a loser, but not even a big loser, just a really normal person.
Yeah.
And you can relate to him. Whereas Bob Dylan is, just both Bob Dylan and Charlemagne, hashtag main character from the start.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy's, hashtag extra.
That's hilarious. So that's completely true. And the way that Bob Dylan is portrayed, when you think of what an artist should be, someone who comes in who's completely confident from the start, that they're just talented for some God-given unknown reason that you can't put a finger on.
Yeah.
Everything they do is amazing, and it's just someone has to realize, find it,
yes.
And then all the fame will come and the money will come. This guy's the opposite of that. He can play music, but nothing he's writing anybody wants. He's completely doubting himself from the start, and very understated. Yeah, I kind of love it. I mean, I'm drawn to this guy instantly because there's a big part of him that I see probably as an artist in myself, and I reckon a lot of other people would too.
Yeah.
And there's this one scene which kills me, where he's discovered nobody knows the Beatles are a thing. He sits down to play. Is it Yesterday? No, it's Let It Be.
To his parents?
To his parents. He sits down to play Let It Be on the piano to his parents, and they start taking calls, letting people in, and stopping him every 5 seconds. And then they move on to berating him for taking too long to make his performance work.
Yeah.
It's great. It just feels so true.
And he's kind of like offended on two fronts. He's saying, this is the bloody Beatles, and also this is me.
Yeah.
It's works on many levels, but I love the imposter syndrome that goes through, like, clearly in his subconscious, the reality gradually, getting, back into his head with people
Totally
mentioning it at the press conferences, and really cleverly done. I know you're a Danny Boyle fan, and this is one of his good ones.
I am a Danny Boyle fan. I think this is one of his underrated films. People don't particularly like it as much as his other stuff, but I think it's great. I mean, if I were going to criticize it, I would say it's maybe not as like heavy hitting or as deep into the themes as it could be. I could see it could have gotten darker, and he could have pushed it further. But it sort of feels tonally like the film doesn't want to go there. It's kind of a comedy, like it's. It could have gotten darker. I don't know. It's a tough one. I kind of enjoy it the way it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's tough. I don't think darker would suit it. It was just, I remember going away from this and just feeling satisfied. Like, I'd normally want harder hitting, but you're right. The tone of this was not meant to be that. It was clever, a clever premise.
Yep.
Well executed. You just go away feeling, pleased.
Biggest takeaway for me from watching this film and the Dylan film.
Yeah.
There's an underlying theme in both of them about sort of self-belief and how you treat yourself as an artist. And of course, Dylan goes out from the beginning treating his own work as if it is genius.
Yeah.
It takes, in Yesterday, Himesh's character to know that the work is genius because it's somebody else's.
Yeah. For
him to then be able to treat himself in that way.
Yeah, true. And it's ultimately him that does it all.
Yeah.
Well, with some help, with a little help
from
his friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a point that I thought you might make, but just the fact that both of these films provide a vehicle for having a fresh look at sort of old songs. And especially with Yesterday, like the whole thing of art is all about making strange and seeing things from different angles. And in this, it's literally that, the premise is that we've never heard these songs before. So it's asking us to look at them freshly.
Yeah.
And through the whole premise of the film, gives us an opportunity to listen to these songs that have become like elevator music and listen to them fresh.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And to a different extent, perhaps lesser, but like similar, the Dylan film, just through an actor portraying it, doing it themselves, listening to the songs in context of a life, does the same sort of thing, as does any biopic, but it does it well.
Yeah, it's totally true. And it brings the music to new audiences. It does it in a way where it's presenting the music in context as well, which is awesome. I think probably my final sort of thing I wanted to say about this was that if I were to choose a type of storytelling to talk about music and fame, particularly the theme of what fame does to a human, I think this is a much better way to do it than a biopic. because
Yeah.
you're skipping the myth of a real human. You're skipping the history that needs to be correct. You're skipping a whole bunch of baggage, and you just cut into the chase, which is,
Yeah.
I think, more powerful.
Well, biopics suck, really.
Yeah, they suck.
Like they're just, it's like, I hate biographies.
Yeah,
Can't stand them.
same thing, right?
I want to read a novel.
Yes.
So, that's my going in way of thinking that, I don't want to just hear about someone's life. I want stories.
'Cause people have a lot of baggage that comes with them. There's a lot of ego stuff involved in this that, a fictional tale can just sidestep.
Yeah. That all changes when you really dearly love the protagonist.
Sure.
So I think that's where it gets me.